In the quiet folds of a small country village, life moved at a gentle pace. The mornings began with the chorus of songbirds, the distant rumble of a tractor, and the soft voices of neighbors greeting one another as they tended their gardens. In this village lived a young man named Samuel. He was the son of a humble farmer, raised among fields of golden wheat and the cool shade of ancient oaks. His days were filled with honest work, laughter, and the kind of silence that settles deep in the soul. A silence not of emptiness, but of peace. Yet, as Samuel grew older, a restless curiosity stirred within him. Stories reached the village of the city, a place alive with opportunity, excitement, and the promise of a life far grander than the one he knew. The city's lights were said to burn brighter than 1,000 stars, its streets overflowing with the people, ideas, and ambition. Samuel dreamed of finding a job there, of building a future that glistened with success. And so, one crisp morning, with the blessing of his family and a knapsack slung over his shoulder, Samuel left behind the gentle cadence of the countryside and set out for the city. The journey itself was a revelation. As the bus wound its way through rolling hills and into the sprawl of highways, Samuel watched the landscape change. The fields gave way to buildings. The open sky narrowed between towers of glass and steel. The air, once fragrant with wildflowers and earth, grew heavy with the scent of gasoline and distant food stalls. When Samuel finally arrived, the city greeted him with a rush, a symphony of car horns, shouting vendors, and the constant thrum of footsteps against pavement. At first, the energy was intoxicating. Samuel found a small room in a crowded boarding house, sharing space with others who had come seeking the same dreams. He wandered through bustling markets, gazing at goods from every corner of the world. He watched people, so many people, each moving with purpose, their faces set with determination or lost in distraction. He applied for jobs, often standing in long lines, hoping his hands, calloused from years of farm work, would be seen as a strength rather than a liability. But as days turned to weeks, the city's music began to change. The noise, once thrilling, grew overwhelming. Samuel found himself constantly surrounded by sound. The chatter of strangers, the sirens that sliced through the night, the ceaseless hum of machines. Even in moments of quiet, the city pressed in, its lights never dimming, its pace never slowing. The silence he had known in the country was nowhere to be found. Here, even solitude was crowded. Samuel's job search, too, became a source of anxiety. Every interview was another test of his worth, another reminder of the fierce competition. He watched others climb ladders faster, speak more smoothly, dress more sharply. The pressure to keep up grew heavier. He began to measure his days by what he accomplished, always feeling as though he was falling behind. Amid the noise and rush, he started to lose himself. His thoughts scattered, his priorities shaped by the relentless demands of city life. One evening, after a particularly long day, Samuel wandered into a small park tucked between office buildings. The city's sounds were muffled here, the air cooler, the trees casting long shadows across the grass. He sat on a bench, closed his eyes, and for the first time in weeks, listened. To the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant echo of laughter, the steady rhythm of his own heart. In that rare pocket of quiet, Samuel remembered the village he had left behind, the warmth of his family, the joy of simple work, the beauty of an unhurried morning. He realized then that the noise of the city was not just sound, it was distraction. It filled every corner of his life, leaving little room for reflection, for connection, for the things that truly mattered. The city offered endless opportunities, but it also demanded endless attention, constantly pulling him away from himself. Samuel thought of the priorities he had set before coming, the pursuit of success, recognition, and wealth. But in the hush of the park, he saw what he had lost: the peace, the clarity, the sense of belonging that had shaped him. Samuel's story is not unique. In our lives too, the noise creeps in. Through our phones, our schedules, our ambitions, we fill our days with busyness, believing that more is always better. We measure our worth by what we achieve, forgetting to ask what makes us happy, what gives us peace. We chase after the loudest dreams, often losing sight of the quiet truths that anchor us. But the lesson Samuel discovered is simple. Life is not meant to be filled with noise. True fulfillment comes not from the clamor of achievement, but from the gentle moments of presence, gratitude, and connection. When we pause, when we listen, when we allow ourselves to step back from the rush, we rediscover our priorities. We remember the value of family, of friendship, of time spent in nature. We find joy in simplicity, meaning in small acts, and the strength in silence. Perhaps, like Samuel, it is time to ask ourselves, are we living for the noise or for the quiet spaces where life truly happens? Are we chasing after what others say we should want or nurturing what our hearts truly need? The world will always be filled with distractions, but we have the power to choose where we place our attention, to shape our lives around what matters most. So let Samuel's journey guide you. Seek out the quiet, protect it fiercely. Fill your days not with noise, but with the gentle music of meaning, so that when you look back, you find not a life crowded with empty sounds, but a life rich in purpose, peace, and love.